This is the Throstle Club with Norman Bartlam and Bob Downing. Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Throstle Club. Now, this is the programme which looks back on the long and illustrious history of West Bromwich Albion, and we speak to former players and supporters about their memories of our marvellous club, with a particular emphasis on this month in history. And of course, this month is July, and we're at the studios of Black Country Extra, and sitting alongside me, as always, is the man whose form rate is excellent. Always excellent. In fact, it's the former Sports Argus man, Bob Downing.
Hi, Norman.
And opposite, as always, is Black Country Radio's very own Billy Spakeman. No doubt you'll be chipping in. And what you been doing this week?
Talking to me.
Sorry. Yeah, and well, we had Norman on the Hammer and Chain show. We had Bob on the Hammer and Chain show. We've been at Lightwood's house. We've been at Alzo in Town Hall. We've been at Gornall Fun Day. So we've been quite busy this week.
And sitting in the corner twiddling your knobs for this
Not
programme
on, my knobs were twiddled all the time.
Excellent.
I'm ambidextrous.
Now, it's a special programme today because 3/4 of it is taken up with an interview with one person, Albion royalty, no less. Dawn Astle, MBE.
Oh, well.
How about that? So we'll find out a little bit more about that on this edition of the Throstle Club. And the West Brom choir there would no doubt be somewhat chuffed as well to find out, Bob, that Dawn Astle got the MBE.
Yeah, wonderful.
Absolutely fantastic. And we'll be finding out a bit about that later in the programme. In fact, most of the programme today.
Yeah.
So I've said to you, you've got to be brief today. I didn't expect you to turn up in your undies. Anyway, so putting that aside, good job, it's radio really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is radio, yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's got nice legs, though.
well, that's your opinion. You're the other side of the desk to me. Anyway, the new Albion kit's come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you've got blue and white stripes, I'm not really bothered about,
A bit like your undies.
Yeah,
really.
a bit like me.
Oh, no, not necessarily blue and white, though, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all right. As I said, blue and white stripes. And one thing I'm pleased about is they've managed to get the 125 years on that badge. The only thing is, I don't know whether the club badge is the right one. I think we might have gone for the retro WBA.
For the traditional one.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, no complaints. And the Albion won't have complaints if they sell as many as they think they're going to.
Yeah, the other good news is Albion won the Blind FA Cup, so great thanks to Paul Glover, Richard Henderson and people of that, the foundation, Mo, of course, for captaining the side, and also Tim Fellows in the Euros. Yeah,
I mean, he only got a few minutes, didn't he, in one of the ties, but no, I mean, it's a great boost for him. It looks good on his CV. I mean, no matter what you say, he was a member of the England under-21 side that won the European Championships.
Excellent. Yeah, of course, he's got the medal for that as well.
Yeah.
And new signing, Nat Phillips.
Yeah, from what I've heard and what people have said, he looks a very good signing. He's obviously come in for Semi Ajayi, who's gone elsewhere. He was on loan. He's come from Liverpool, but he's been on loan quite a few times. He was on loan at Derby last season, and the reports I've had is, he was probably one of their best players.
Yeah, the key word that stuck out for me when I read reports was the word leader.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been lacking on the field,
very much
isn't it?
so. Very much so.
So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on then.
It's amazing as well, Norm, the number of names that are now being bandied about. Now we're getting into the start of the season.
Oh,
really.
Yes, there was.
I've already lost count of how many players we've signed.
Indeed.
Well, we're going to sign.
Allegedly going to sign, anyway. Anyway, let's get straight on with the interviews now, Bob. Now, both Dawn and her mum, Lorraine, were guests of the Albion Foundation at the regular weekly hub meeting, and it was there that we caught up with them. And Dawn, as most people, well, in fact everybody will now know, has got the MBE for the work that she's been doing. So let's go straight into the interview. And we began by asking Dawn, Lorraine was sitting alongside her, how she found out about the fact that she'd got the MBE. We're here then with Bob, with distinguished guest.
Yeah, royalty.
Royalty, indeed. No,
West Bromwich royalty.
The
Albion royalty.
wife of the king.
Yeah, and the princess.
And the princess, MBE.
MBE now, yeah.
So
thoroughly deserved as well.
Yeah, well,
I think everybody who knows anything about football will know her name for the work that she's been
what's
doing.
Her name?
I don't know. We got that still in his head. Her name obviously is Dawn Astle.
Yeah, and luckily she's laughing because
Yeah.
she's got an MBE, so she
That's
can
right,
get
yeah.
sent to the palace.
Actually, it's amazing
Sent to
what
the
you can
tower.
do, and get a coat of arms now.
Unbelievable,
Oh.
isn't it?
And
Yeah. She's probably got a coat. She's probably got a coat with arms on.
Yeah,
though,
and the
but-
kids and the grandkids can actually go and get married in St Paul's Cathedral.
Oh, right. That's well,
I had to do with Rowley Regis Methodist, no, Rowley Regis Church, I did.
I bet they can't make banana cake like your
No,
missus
they
can,
can't, no.
Anyway.
Anyway, let's get on with it.
Right. Anyway, so sitting here very seriously looking, Dawn and Larraine. So, come on then, tell us about your MBE then, Dawn.
Oh, blimey. Where do I start with my letter?
Yeah. How did you first know?
I was actually going out. I was going to visit a family of a former player with dementia, and as I was leaving the house, the postman came, and he just said, "Oh, here you go," because I was there, and he looked at me a bit funny, not nasty, just a bit of a. And I took that. I didn't look at it. I just
Because
took
of what
it.
was on the envelope, it says, "On Her
Must have
Majesty's
been,
Service."
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Secret Service, maybe. Yeah.
But I didn't notice it because I didn't look at it. I mean, for all it could have been water rates, some clothing thing having a sale. I didn't know what it was. So because I was on my way out, I literally turned around, went back into the house, and chucked it on my dining room table. And then I went back out to go and visit the family, and I realised I hadn't put my shoes in the car. So
Because you wear great big
because I wear
cloppers, don't you?
great
Yeah.
big heels,
Yeah.
big platform shoes and sandals, and I can't possibly drive in them. So I thought, I've not bought my shoes, and went back in. And as I went back in, that's when I noticed. I just glanced and saw the envelope on the table. I picked it up, and obviously it said on His Majesty's Service, Cabinet Office, urgent and personal. And I just thought, what the? Not swear, but like, what the? And that, for a split second, it was like, oh, have I done something wrong? Like, I mean, I know I had it. I knew I hadn't, but I couldn't understand why I was getting this letter. So because I saw that, and I could see in the little like spy hole, it said Miss Dawn Leslie Astle, which is obviously my full name. And I never get a letter with my middle name
Unless
on it.
it's from
was just,
HMRC.
yeah. And so I thought I'll open it. And then the first thing I see is Cabinet Office and Ceremonial Officer, and it still never entered my head at all it was anything like it was going to be. And then in confidence, in big capital letters. And I started to read it, and I sort of read it really, because I was going somewhere. And it sort of stopped me in my track a bit, and I, to be honest, I wasn't sure, is this real? Is it like a scam letter? Because you get them, don't you? You get scam texts, you get all sorts of things. I thought, am I going to read further down, it's going to say, can you send me £10,000? But I had a little, like a scan read, and I sort of started to read it again, and then I thought, oh my God. And I was sort of, I didn't really know what to think, but I knew I was getting a bit like emotional, like trembly. And Alistair, my other half, was working in the other room. So I shouted him in and said, Alistair, just come and have a look at this. Is this real? And he took the letter off me, and he started to read it to himself. And he stopped and he looked at me and he carried on reading, and I could see he got quite teary. And seeing him teary made me teary, because I never see him teary. And I said, is it something about a British Empire medal? Is it real? And he just went, no, darling. He said, you've been recommended for an MBE. And I was like, you what? Is that real? Is it real? And we kept saying, is it real? Is it real? And I'll read you the first paragraph of it. And again, dear Dawn Leslie Astle, I'm writing in the strictest confidence to inform you that you are to be recommended to His Majesty the King for the honour of Member of the Order of the British Empire, brackets MBE, in the New Year's Honours List 2025. The short citation for the award would read, Founder, the Jeff Astle Foundation for Services to Footballers with Dementia. And this recommendation has been made by the Prime Minister on the advice of the Independent Main Honours Committee following an independent assessment process.
Well, that's fantastic.
And I was like,
How'd you manage to keep it quiet?
Oh, it was a nightmare. Because obviously
Because
within
this was
the letter,
November, wasn't it, when
this
you
was
had
November,
this?
yeah.
And when they say strictly confidential, they mean it, don't
Oh,
they?
they mean it, absolutely. I'd never breach anything like that. And I just thought, I can't even tell my kids. I thought, I can't tell Taylor, I can't tell Matt, can't tell my grandson, can't tell my sisters, especially Claire, like my youngest sister, because obviously she's with the foundation with us. And I thought, can't tell Mum. And I thought, I can't not tell my mum. I can't. And I thought, and I know if I say to her, Mum, you cannot breathe a word to anybody, I knew she would never do that. So again, in the back of my mind, I'm going to visit a family. I mean, I always leave 2 hours in early anyway because I never hate to get anywhere late. So I drove straight to Mum. It's only 3 miles away, and I took the letter with me. And I went in and we sat on the sofa, and I passed her the letter. And I said, "Oh, I've just had this." And obviously, Mum puts her reading glasses on and starts to read it. And then I could see Mum go, took an intake of breath. And then Mum got teary, and then I got teary again. And then we had a bit of a moment, didn't we? And then I said, I'm going to have to go, Mum, because I'm going to see a family. She says, no, of course, darling. And as I went through the kitchen, I just opened the kitchen door to go outside. And Mum said, see you then. And I remember I turned, I looked over my right shoulder, I said, see you, Mum. And then she just said, it just came from nowhere. And she just said it very quietly. She said, darling, your dad would be so proud of you. And even now I struggled to say it. And then that was it. I was just... And when I was driving to see the family, I think the enormity of it hit me in waves. Yeah. And I just thought, oh my God, to get a royal award is just phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. But in my heart, I knew that it was always going to be tinged with this sadness because Dad had died.
You're on the way to Grimsby.
Yeah.
Lorraine, you are now in the house on your own. What's going through your mind?
Well, it took a lot of getting used to be honest. I think I couldn't concentrate on anything. I had to keep sitting down and thinking about it, and then I cried, and then I thought, my birthday was coming up a couple of days later, and all the family were going out from here, and I thought, I've got to sit with them all, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, my daughters, son-in-laws, and we can't breathe a word. And I thought, and I thought about her dad, and I thought, what Jeff would make of this. And he'd be so proud, and he'd probably be saying, you get your medal out, Dawn, and I'll get my medal, and we'll have a look who's it.
I'll tell you something, what Jeff would have done, right? If he'd still been alive, he'd have been down the bookies and said, what price will you give me? On our Dawn, get an MBA.
More than that. Well, when he referred to her, he always referred to her as Dawny. Come on then, Dawny, let's go. And that.
Dragging greyhound racing.
And it was Jeff, really, because it was like bittersweet. You're absolutely thrilled to bits, over the moon. You'd never thought it in a million years, particularly when we look back over the years at the fight we had. And 9 out of 10 people treated us like we'd literally got the plague and used to keep away from us. They didn't want to be seen talking to us, because they're talking rubbish, what they're on about. Yeah, they're causing trouble and they want to ban heading and I bet they're just doing it for compensation. And that never came into the equation. And to this day, still hasn't. Although I've got industrial disease on his death certificate, that was never why. Yeah. I wanted to know why Jeff, as a professional footballer, died with a boxer's brain, so badly damaged that the central membrane had disintegrated and his brain had split in two. And we walked out that inquest in the November of that year, and we got outside and I turned to the girls and I said to them, your dad can't possibly be the first. And I said, and sadly, he's not going to be the last. What are we going to do about it? And it started from them, the banner that the Albion fans, clapped on 9 minutes. You went to away games and you could see the opposition fans looking, thinking, what they're doing, and it started from then. And then as word got round and people began to notice, and it got on, on the Saturday night on the television with Gary Lineker and at Match of the Day, then it ended up where the opposition fans were clapping with the Albion fans, because every club had got a player who had died of dementia.
You're walking around now with this massive secret. You can't tell anybody, right?
Yeah.
When did you get to know that it was actually going to be made public?
Well, when you get obviously the letter, you get some other like pieces of paper with it that you have to fill out and scan over and email back to them. There's all like different details you have to put on, and then because the cut-off date was only a couple of days after, I think I was panicking. I'm not the best person on a computer, if I'm fair. Anybody who knows me knows I'm absolutely useless. I wouldn't know how to scan anything, like rubbish. So I took a picture of it on my phone and then inserted it on an email. And I just needed to check, obviously, that they'd received it. So I rang the number, it says, like, to ring. Spoke to this really, really nice guy. It was so nice, so friendly. And he went through, like, the whole sort of process with me. And he said what normally happens, and it's going back years, really. He said it gets released in the London Gazette. And he says, and then that's at 10:30 of the 30th, I think it was, or was it 31st, 10:30 p.m. at night. But they informed the press between 5 and 7 days before, so if there's anything, any interviews, anything, then it's all done, and it's all embargoed. Obviously, nobody can speak about it or anything until it's gone in and then once it's in the London Gazette, then it's out there basically. So I didn't tell a soul. I said, obviously Alistair, because he'd seen the letter, and Mum. I was desperate to tell my children. I was desperate to tell my grandson. I was desperate to tell my sisters, but I couldn't. And it was a long time. It was only 3 weeks.
Did they understand in the end what you had told them?
Yeah. And it was awful, because you think, like, I don't know whether it's like you could have told us, or we would never have said anything. We would have, but how I see it is the less people know, the less chance, isn't it? So, but I did tell them beforehand. I thought there's no way that I can possibly let my children and my sisters, and even like the guys who I work with, there was no way I was going to let them read it on social media. So I called a Zoom meeting with my work colleagues and said, like, I need to speak to everybody, and it's this standing joke, because I think they thought I was going to quit, and it was me calling for a meeting, and I wanted everybody there. And as I said, when you're awarded this MBE, you get 2 privileges, which is your own coat of arms, and obviously get married in one of the chapels in St Paul's Cathedral. And I started the call, and they're all there looking like, what's going on? What's the matter? And I just said, because it's a standing joke at work, they call me Spinster Astle, because we've been engaged for 33 years. That's what I said, it was Spinster Astle. And I said, I just wanted to let you know I'm getting married. And they went, oh, you really? I said, yeah, we're getting married. And they were like, oh, brilliant. And why are you telling us now? Like, why are you telling us now? Why don't you wait? And I said, it's because I'm getting married in the special chapel at St Paul's Cathedral. And they were like, I thought you were going to go to a registry office. And I said, no. I said, apparently it's one of those special privileges you get if you've been awarded an MBE. And there was that split second of silence. And then Rachel, who is a trustee of the Jeff Astle Foundation anyway, we'll work with in the brain health department, I just saw her, like, she got quite teary, and everybody was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then obviously telling my son and my daughter and my grandson, and telling Claire, and Claire was just thrilled, wasn't she? Claire
she was over the moon,
It was.
She was, and Joseph was.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Did you manage to keep it quiet, Lorraine?
I can't.
I did. I mean, it nearly killed me, particularly when I was with like Claire or Josie, because I felt sure if I told Claire she wouldn't have said anything, and I promised I wouldn't, so I didn't. Never said a word to anyone. Even when I could, I thought, no, I'm not saying anything, and we'll leave it to Dawn to say. It
was a really long, nearly 4 weeks,
it
wasn't
nearly
it?
killed us. And the only time we could actually talk about it together, Dawn would ring me and she said, Mum, I'm nipping to the garden centre. Do you want to come? And I said yes, because we both like gardens. And we used to go in the garden centre, we'd have a look around, we'd go in the cafe, we'd find a corner where there was no one sitting, we'd get our latte coffee and a piece of cake, and we'd take it over, and then we'd just say everything we wanted to say, where we're going to go, where you're going to go and get your outfit. We'd covered every area, didn't we? And then we'd go home and just pick up like we knew nothing at all about it. It was the only place we could actually relax, because even if we'd have sat in my lounge at home, you know, one of the girls or one of my grandsons or someone could have, you know, just walked in through the kitchen door and heard what we were saying. So it was the only place where we could go and do it. But
so once the news is out, I mean, there's obviously everybody. You must have been inundated with text calls and and letters.
Yeah, it was. Well, there was obviously the press. We did some interviews, and then actually prior. A few days prior to actually coming out, I had 2 letters again. Postman. I must always be in the porch when these letters come because I took them off the postman.
So what did your postman say when you eventually told him? Did he guess from the label?
He said that when he handed it over, he said, I think this is important. And I opened these letters and it said Miss Dawn Astle MBE on it, because nobody knew. So I looked at them and thought, oh, and it wasn't a Cabinet Office envelope, it was a normal envelope with my name and address on, but with MBE on the end of it. And I thought, oh, like, someone knows, like someone's wrote to me. I think it's not me. I thought, I'll kill Mum if it's Mum. And I thought, well, who's this? And when I opened them, there were the most lovely letters from, like the local Lord Lieutenants. I keep saying, turn to American all the time. Lovely letters, very personal letters. You know, talking about Dad in it, and it's wonderful, it's for the foundation and a marvellous legacy, you know, not just for you, but for your dad, you know, and he'd be very proud of you, and I could cry my eyes out again. And then, obviously, when the press knew about it, it just went mad. And, like radio, a lot of radio as well, obviously pre-record. And then when it actually came out, well, I literally couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up. There's so much on social media now, isn't there? So I sat and in secret wrote like a statement on, like, for me, you know, about receiving the award and what it meant to me and the foundation and everything, and Dad and Mom, well, the whole family. And then I put that out, and then it seemed to go mad again. Because I've got my email. Then you've got your Twitter, you've got your Facebook, you've got you've got your Messenger, you've got your text messages, and they were just bing, 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 and I literally couldn't keep up with them, and I tried my best to reply to as many people. You know, when you're on Messenger, but then you're not Facebook friends, and they can still get in touch, can't you? A message request. There was like pages. There was pages. There must have been thousands. There must have been thousands.
There was one rather special letter as well, wasn't there?
There was, yeah. It was. It was a week or two after. I think it was about a week or two after. After the first, obviously, when the news came out, a letter arrived, and it said Miss Dawn Astle MBE. It said nice envelope, not a royal envelope, but it was a nice envelope. And I thought, who's this? Because it was after as well, and I knew like that from the Lord Lieutenants. And I opened it, and the first thing I noticed was like the logo was such for Department of Health, and I thought, what's this? As typical me, didn't look at the writing, thought, I've had my mammogram, I've had my smear test.
Thank you for telling us that.
I've had all these important things, and then I went to look at it, and this did stop me in my track, absolutely did. And it was the most lovely letter from Professor Sir Chris Whitty,
Wow.
Again, really like a personal letter, mentioning Dad
handwritten,
and
yeah.
and I said I've still got them all, I've still got them all.
But
So it was just crazy bonkers. And then you get a scroll come,
That's
you get a
right.
scroll come
Yeah.
about like this, and I thought, what's this? And I knew it was something to do with the investiture.
Yeah.
And when I took it out, and it's packaged really well, I took it out, and Mum keeps laughing at me saying this, but it was like something out of Robin Hood. Like you get King
Open
Johnny's.
the scroll,
Yeah. But it didn't have like the sticks, it was just like paper, and I sort of went like that, and there was like the royal stamp, and it said Charles and Camilla.
The seal, yeah.
And it was like in, how can I say, like oldie worldy writing to
Yeah.
start with.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was that, and
I
I
agree.
just kept thinking, is this? I knew it was real, but this doesn't happen to me. You know what I mean? I'm just Dawn. I'm just really normal. Whose dad just happened to play football. It was
Just going back to this letter from Professor Chris Whitty. I mean, okay, that it's a wonderful thing to have, but it just shows how far you'd gone.
Oh wow!
I mean, basically, you'd taken your fight to the very top of the tree.
Yeah. But it's strange
Medically.
because, and honestly, this is true. It consumes your life. It consumed my life. As soon as we started, I went to bed thinking about it, woke up thinking about it. It took over, made me ill at times, because we just, as I said, a very normal family with normal jobs, who suddenly, and it wasn't our fault, for reasons that it was nothing to do with us, got thrown into this crazy journey. Because Dad had died, and like Mum said, he'd had industrial disease on the bottom of his death certificate, and it was as if football didn't want to know. I couldn't get my head around it, and like when I was in the police, and I used to do surveillance, and it was years ago, like in the 90s, and we had handbags and things that women's surveillance, but like the guys had obviously got radios, and I said to my other half, I said, God forbid, like all those years ago, if you had a radio against your skin, and say if it caused cancer, and they found out there was a coroner's inquest and it was because of that radio, I guarantee you, within 24 hours there'd have been something out saying no one's to use that radio until further notice. Guarantee it. But it was as if because it was football that killed him, it didn't matter, and it did matter. My dad's life mattered, and we got thrown into this, I said this, lonely, because there was nobody else then. I mean, now, there's new charities, old charities, all sort, every man and his dog, talking about it. But there weren't then, and it was this crazy, lonely, frustrating, sad, desperately sad journey we found ourselves in. But we had to, because if we weren't doing it for Dad, who was? We had to, and I know if it had been on the other way round, my mum and my dad would have fought for me. They would have fought for me.
Yeah.
So we had to do it, and even as I said at times, I spent every Tuesday of my life for 2 years at a mental health facility, because it literally, I thought it was going to drive me crazy. I couldn't understand how, why won't football do something? Because like Mum said, Dad can't possibly be the first, and he definitely isn't the last. But then the more I started to research, and I said I'm rubbish on computers, the more I started to research, and I was finding like players or teams in different areas, where there might have been 5, 6, 7 of the players died of some type of neurological disease. And this was literally within a few months. It was like suddenly this massive penny had dropped, and it was like, oh my God, like Dad's death could be the tip of an iceberg. This could be huge. It could be huge. And I was absolutely convinced, and nobody would have unconvinced me. I knew football had a problem. I knew it had a problem. But then you've got to prove it.
That's right.
You've got to prove it.
Go carry on.
I was going to say, one of the letters you had was from Gareth Southgate as well, wasn't it?
No, it was a text message.
Oh, text
or a
message,
WhatsApp. It was either WhatsApp or
WhatsApp,
yeah. Because Gareth had obviously, Sir Gareth, had been awarded, like, obviously his knighthood. And I'd spoken to him on the phone a few times with work. Such a nice guy, really, really nice guy. And it was one of the first messages I got, and also from Alan Shearer, and he put, I don't want this to turn into a mutual appreciation society, because obviously he said, I just wanted to say, like really, really pleased, well done for everything that you've done. Like, you're incredibly proud. And then I sent him one back. I said, Sir Gareth, do I call you that now? I said, congratulations on yours too. I said, because honestly, he's such a nice guy.
And what was Alan Shearer's message?
Alan Shearer's was on Messenger Twitter, the Twitter Messenger thing, I think. And again, it was exactly the same, like huge congratulations. Because I can't remember how many years ago now, I won a Pride of Britain award, a special recognition. And Alan very kindly, he's been a huge supporter of the foundation and everything we've done. And he very kindly did like a video for it as well, which was really nice. That was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that when they told me I'd won that. But this was like, oh my word.
So we get to the stage where British royalty is now going to meet West Bromwich royalty. Right? I mean, the king was off somewhere else dabbing somebody's head, shoulder with a sword. But you had the Villa fan.
I did.
What was that like?
Oh, it was... we went... When you go, because you don't know who you've got, I think it was you go sort of through this archway, and everybody's so friendly, so helpful,
Let's
so
tell
kind.
people where we are now.
Oh, we're now in Windsor Castle.
Only Windsor Castle.
Only Windsor Castle, and it was phenomenal. It was a beautiful day as well, wasn't it? And they greet you, and you show them your tickets, and with everybody's name on. You've already gone through clearance. You've already gone through the searches and everything. And you drive up the long walk, it was like, wow. Because I've never been to Windsor, never been to Windsor Castle. I don't think I've ever been to a castle. Have I been to a castle?
Nottingham. Nottingham Castle.
Have I been there?
When you were little.
Oh, bloody hell.
So in the sheriff.
You did a few sandcastles on the beach as well, didn't you?
And a few.
And just to do that drive was like, and you could see getting nearer and nearer and nearer, and I was like, it was starting to be, I was getting a little bit nervy. And then you go in, and then they said they're so lovely, so friendly and kind. There's not enough they can't do for you, honestly. It's amazing. And then you go to another point, like you go through the corridors, and you're looking at all the paintings on the wall and all behind cabinets and everything, wasn't it? And then you go to somebody else, and they ask your name, and the first thing they say is congratulations to you. Have a wonderful day. And they say, right, you're in like the Waterloo chamber with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. And we were like, oh wow.
So you didn't know which member of royalty you were going to meet until you got there then?
No.
Yeah.
And because he's a football fan,
Yeah.
because I know the wrong football team.
But at least he does know something about football.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was so nice. He was so nice. And he was genuinely interested, he was asking questions, about the game and heading and footballs, and it's one of those times, I mean, it hit me for six, it literally, as I was walking towards him, and I'm thinking, oh my word, like, I'm standing in front of the future king, and it literally, as if I went into a wall, it just completely hit me, the enormity of everything, I think, because I think because I'd had the letter, what would it be, 7 months prior, you're going to go, but you it's there, but it's not there, if that makes sense. And everything was about this day, and such a special day, not just for me, but for my family. And obviously Mum came, and Alistair, my partner, and my son and my daughter, because normally you can only take 3. But because I had a son and a daughter, they allowed me, bless them, to take both. I couldn't possibly take one without the other. And then you chat with him for a while, and then he puts the medal on you, and then you leave that room, you go into another room, and they take the medal off you and put it in its lovely box. And then there's like photographers, official photographers waiting there, and they took so many photos. Again, I didn't want it to be me. And they said, oh, no, we do everybody. So they did all of us, like the 5 of us, Then they did a lot with me and my mum on my own, nearby and then like at distance. And then they did Alistair and I. Then they did both of my kids with me as well. And then obviously, well, God knows how long we were there. We were there ages because I didn't take the medal, and he said, oh, where's your medal? And I said, oh, where is my medal? And we had sort of sat on a bench. And I thought I'd left it on the bench, and then Mum had seen it and put it in her handbag. So we had to get the medal out, and he said, oh no, he said, that would be helpful, that's why you're here. And I'm just like, of course it is.
When they've called you, I said, Miss Dawn Leslie Astle, Services to Football, what was going through your mind, Lorraine?
Well, explain where you were first, because that's the one point where they split us. We were together for
yes.
the entire day, weren't we?
Yes.
And I was like in one entrance to this chamber, and you were the other entrance with Taylor Matinelli.
Yes.
And then you were actually in that room before I was.
That's right,
weren't you? Because I was in a doorway. So you watched the person before. You would have seen them.
Yes.
And their family members are there. Then as soon as that gentleman walked away, you're then in there, and then I'm to the next man, if that makes sense.
That must have been fantastic to see your daughter walk in.
It was unbelievable. We'd no idea how big the room was, and I thought it was going to be a great big room, and Dawn was going to be at one end with His Royal Highness Prince William, and we were going to be right at the other end. And when we walked in, we were about 12 foot from him. And I'll be honest, I walked in and he was stood there. He's very tall, in his Air Force uniform with his medals and his ribbons. And I said to Dawn, strange the things that you through your mind. I just looked at him and I thought, oh, it's Princess Diana's son. I used to see him when he was a baby on the, when he was toddling around. And I just looked at him and I thought, oh my word, won't his mum be proud of him? They were my first thoughts, because it was just a shock of seeing him. When we've watched him go from a baby to walking behind the coffin and everything. And both Jeff and I were very fond of Princess Diana. And so that resonated with me. And then we just sort of stood to the side, and I was more just watching the person in front, watching them, and then when his family moved out, we had to move even nearer. And then out the corner of my eye, I saw Dawn walk in, and of course the first thing she had to do was curtsy. Well, when she first got her MBE, and she used to come to pick me up to go to garden centres, I used to walk through the door and I'd give her a curtsy. And we laughed about it. And then Dawn, you came there once and you said, is this right, Mum? And she went almost to the floor. And I says, no, you'll break your neck. I says, you don't go that far down, you'll never get up. So we did have some laughs about it.
I've never done it before.
No, we did say on the level of, and we had a good many laughs about it.
MBE or not, we'll never change, will we?
No. And I said, do we bow or do we curtsy for you? And I just did it every time she picked me up. I'd go to the front door. I thought the neighbours must think I'm crackers, because they didn't know. And I used to go to a curtsy and I'd laugh, and then. But then when she walked in and she curtsied, and I, for the second I thought, yes, because you got quite a long dress just above your ankles. And also she gets down, the heel of a shoe will get stuck in, and then you're trying to get up. But no, it went like clockwork. She did it. And I just stood looking at her. And if I'm truthful, my first thoughts there when I saw her there was, I wonder what my Jeff would make of this. He'd have been so proud. I felt proud. Come in this morning in the car. Every now and again I'll sort of look at her and I say, I'm so proud of you, Dawn. And I thought about her dad. And I did say to Dawn, not long after we got there, I said, Dawn, I can feel your dad's presence. And I'm not one that is that way in time. And Dawn then said to me, Mum, I could. And I didn't want to say anything to her to upset her. She didn't want to say it to me, but I felt it there. Yeah. And then when I told her, you said the same, didn't you? That we could feel, we knew that Jeff was there with us. And to watch, he put his hand out and he shook hands and he started talking to her instantly, and you could see him smiling, they were laughing about something. And it was just like, if you go on your drive and your next door neighbour's there and you stand and you're chatting and they chat, it just looked like that. It looked like they'd known each other for years. Just like they'd known each other for years. And and it was lovely. We went thinking it'd be all stiff and starchy and we don't breathe, and it wasn't like that at all. People really did go out of their way. And Prince William, you could just tell by how he was with Dawn, and he was looking, and if she said anything, you see, and it was absolutely wonderful. It couldn't have been done any better.
Can you remember what he was saying to you, Dawn?
Not a great deal, no. Not a great deal. He definitely said something like, it's lovely to meet you and congratulations on this award. He definitely asked about the ball, like the old ball and the new ball. He asked about heading in the game now. And the rest I can't remember. He definitely said something which made me laugh, because there's a picture of me laughing. I think he was laughing and I was laughing.
Yeah.
But everybody kept saying, like, it's the minute we got there, it's your day, enjoy it, it's your day. And I loved it, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved every second of it. But it's one of the moments you wish you could go back and and then do it again.
Yeah.
So you absorb.
Yeah.
It's like when they say when you get married or your baby's there, you like absorb everything. It's this moment, try and enjoy it. And I did thoroughly enjoy it. But the enormity was like, it just overruled everything. It was, because it just hit me.
Yeah.
And I said, I've been quite, like, curtsying at the front door with that. I'm like,
we kept sort of a level-headed over it. We'd have a lot of laughs and we'd say things. And I know I sent her a card when we knew about the MBE. And then when the press, it was released. And on the front of the envelope, I put Dawn Astle MBE, then I put like BOAC, BEA, PTO. I went through everyone. I'd be doing the housework and thinking, I thought of another one. And it covered the envelope, and she said they couldn't stop laughing.
ELO, PTO,
PTO.
Anything with three things next to it, honestly, she covered the WBA, LFC.
PNE for Preston North End. And it just went through my head all day.
It was covered, this envelope.
I don't think there was one amiss. But I said to Dawn afterwards, it was like cup final day. When I knew the score and everything had gone according to plan, I just wished I could have gone back and done it again and enjoyed it more, because you wouldn't feel stress.
Nerves.
And it was like that with the thing, because Dawn said, when you look at the photograph, she said the four of us, myself, Alistair, Dawn, Matthew and Taylor, said you stood like soldiers to attention. And I said, Dawn, I didn't breathe.
I know.
That's brilliant. We'll talk a bit about the Jeff Astle Foundation in a minute, but for now, that's been brilliant, hasn't it, Bob?
Yep, absolutely wonderful.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Thanks very much, Dawn.
You're welcome.
And many congratulations.
This is the Throstle Club with Norman Bartlam and Bob Downing.
So your MBE, of course, obviously come about through the work with the Jeff Astle Foundation. So tell us a bit about the foundation then. What does it do?
Well, we formed it on April the 11th, Astle Day, here at West Bromwich Albion Football Club.
So that was 2015.
2015.
Yep.
As a lasting legacy for Dad, really. And we've always had three main aims. The first was to support players and their families and those in similar situations as we found ourselves in. I've been contacted by that many families, all in need of support, and we just did our very best for them. The second was education. I think brain injury in sport is a national issue, and we wanted to see clear, concise information on all aspects of head injury, including CTE, disseminated across all levels of the game. And the third is research. There are national and international experts on the brain, ready to lead in this really complex organ of this really complex issue. And we wanted to see independent research, because obviously football, looking into football last time with the research that failed, that the FA and the PFA funded. We didn't want to see anything like that happen again. So they were our three main aims. And to be honest, how can I say? When you're working in this really, really emotive issue, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, mostly. It's sometimes hard when you compared to when we first started to where we are now. I mean, sometimes I do have to pinch myself. It is phenomenal. Somebody asked me the other day about the changes, like, you know, everything that we've sort of achieved in these last 10 years. And I think we have the brain health department at the PFA, which I was asked to set up, where we've got 6 staff, all with lived experience of both dementia and traumatic brain injury. We have the advanced brain clinic down in London to give us a better understanding of brain health in players in their 30s, 40s and 50s. We have guidance in heading in training for professionals. I do feel it needs to be a regulation, because we need to find better ways to monitor that, because at the minute the guidance is only 10 high force headers a week in training. We have obviously the introduction of concussion subs, which people will probably be more knowledgeable about. We have education sessions on concussion and repetitive head impacts, like heading, for all professional players now. We've seen more recently heading removed from the game for our primary school children. We have an Admiral Nurse clinic, and Admiral Nurses are the most qualified. They're like the Rolls Royce of dementia care, and I wanted the very best people for our players and families. So we funded Admiral Nurse from Dementia UK, and we hold a clinic every Tuesday for either online in Zoom or a telephone call. We have virtual memory clubs for our players who are still able to join in. We have quizzes and all sorts for them. They're brilliant. And what we've been really involved in just recently, and it came about after one of our meetings with the FA several years ago, when it was Greg Clark was the chairman, and he was basically going to put to the board about us having, like, highlighting dementia in football at a community shield game, which was massive. To get dementia in football on the global landscape was enormous for us. And I wrote a big piece for the programme, didn't I? And I think my sister looked at it, and because it was obviously the FA, she went, they're not going to put all that. But they did. They kept it exactly as I wrote it. Yeah. You know, I don't dilute it. You know, I still talk about what I was disappointed and angry with them about. But to see the foundation logo around Wembley Stadium was incredible. And then with what we also asked for was some funding so that we could support memory clubs at football clubs, at professional football clubs. So at the minute we give I think it's £2,000, and we support Rotherham, and we do Chesterfield, we've done Brighton, we've done about 8 or 9 different clubs, and they can spend it on whatever they want, because memory clubs, they're just amazing, and not just for former players but for people within the community. It gives them something to look forward to. It's like a comfort blanket around them. And that was really, really important to me. And I'm really good friends with Tony Curry, and Tony runs a club at Sheffield United, and there's about 100 odd people go to it. Not all players; it's for community as well, and it's phenomenal. And the club are brilliant because they give him this big room, and he can bring in people like with a table tennis table or a putting green, but they obviously cost. All these things cost. So when we fund these different professional football clubs to hold these memory clubs, then obviously it will give them the money to spend whatever they want. The only thing we have to say, and we do have to, because the Jeff Astle Foundation is a registered charity, is that there just has to be some players attend who are former professional footballers with a diagnosis of some type of neurological disease. But looking back on when we first started the foundation to now, it's like we've landed on another planet. It's incredible. I mean, even like the work, what we were trying to do for Dad, we wanted his death recognised by football. We wanted his death acknowledged by football. And not only has it been acknowledged and been recognised, but everything that we started with the foundation and what we wanted to start with the changes in the game has had such a massive impact on every other sport. It's literally every other sport.
Yeah.
And I was at a meeting where there was a lady there, and I'm not sure whether she was something to do with football or it was another sport, and she was now, I think it was something to do with winter sports. And she came over to me afterwards and she said, "Oh, Dawn," she said, "it was so nice to meet you. I didn't realise you were here today." And she says, "Do you realise that everything on all these sports is down to you and your family and everything that you've done with the Jeff Astle Foundation and football?" I mean, it's mind-blowing at times. And it's just phenomenal.
You're going forward, Dawn. What is the ultimate? Have you got an ultimate?
We have. I would love to build a respite centre for our former players. We through the Football Brain Health Fund, which is obviously funded by the Premier League and the PFA, we pay for a lot of respite for our families. Our wives, our carers desperately need to have that break, but knowing that their husband, their loved one, is being cared for, in a beautiful place and being cared for properly, and that they're fine. And we fund that to all different care homes all around the country. I'd love there to be a respite centre in the north, in the Midlands, in the south, purely just for former professional footballers with dementia, to give their wives, just the break that they need. Because it's so important they get that break, because they'll end up on their knees, and if they end up on their knees or they're ill, who looks after the former player? And I think that we said, like the one in the Midlands, what did someone say? Was it the King's Retreat? Or
That would be a good name.
We
wanted it. I don't want, and I said this when Field came out, when the study came out, I do not want all these former players just to be a statistic. They should never ever be a statistic, and their death should remain on the consciousness of the game forever. So it wouldn't just be a respite centre of the highest quality, but we'd fill it with football memorabilia. We'd have a garden outside where people who perhaps, if their dads or husbands or granddads have already passed away, that they can put something there in memory of them. I want it to be all of football. All of football should contribute to this.
I'm sure there was some sort of story that resonated with me about where England meet. They were the team.
Oh,
St George's Park, is it?
yeah.
And I said at the time that would be great to have a respite centre or a respite hotel on those grounds. So for when England train, you can get professional footballers watching them, and you never know what might happen. It could trigger something.
Yeah.
If it triggers just one memory,
Absolutely.
it's worth a memory worth triggering.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, one of the meetings we had with Greg Clark just before coronavirus, we were in a meeting with him, and anyone who's been to St George's Park, it's in beautiful countryside, and it's got acres and acres of land. And I sat and while I was talking to Greg, I was looking out over his shoulder, and it was just greenery and lovely. And we don't live too far from there, do we? It doesn't take us long to get there. And I suddenly said to him, "Greg, you've got all this land here." I said, "You know what I'd like?" I said, I'd like a respite, like a home or a respite centre, a retreat for footballers. And I said, and I'd like to give the families a break, but I'd like it not to look like a hospitalised thing at all. I wanted it like to have a cafe, and I said, and I want to have the first one in the Midlands, and I want to have bedrooms with West Brom colours and West Brom memorabilia inside on the walls. Then we have a Villa one, and a Coventry, and a Stoke, you know, and a Birmingham, and have all the, and Notts County and Forest, keep it round the Midlands. So if there's, you know, a particular player who played for a certain team for a length of time, they could go in that room and, you know, looking at the photographs might trigger something. And when England are training, you know, let them go and watch them train, because at the end of the day, they're not going to go back and tell everybody everything that they've seen, all the tactics, because bless them, some of them won't have remembered it. But for those minutes that they're seeing it, the pleasure and the joy it would give them. You know, and have a little mini golf course if they play golf, and even if they don't, they can still play it. It doesn't matter. And I said, just somewhere, and we could call it like the Jeff's Retreat, and that could be the start of it. And then have one up in the north and one, you know, down south of the country, west coast, east coast. But to start off, you know, in the Midlands, and have a Midland team with its badge and its colours on the doors. So we could do it like that, you know, West Brom and Villa, all of them, because they're all equally as poorly and all equally need help, and the families, they do need that respite, because it's 24/7 care. It really is.
Fantastic that then.
Wonderful. It was great speaking to them and talking to them and reliving their glorious moment.
Yeah, I think what we'd like to try and do, perhaps, with Dawn's permission, of course, is sort of follow this up now and follow the progress of the work that she's doing, trying to get the respite centre. It'd be nice to talk about some specific case studies of people as well, perhaps, but maybe perhaps not mentioning names.
No,
but quite possibly. We'll
well,
see
I think there's a few clubs now getting involved in this because of the problems with dementia it's causing amongst footballers. There's a lot of clubs, you know, doing things. I mean, I had John Homer, who everybody knows on this radio station, does a tremendous job with the foundation, with the Memories Group. We have a hub on a Wednesday, and you know, all the supporters talk and we get together. It's very important.
Yeah, brilliant. Yep, now, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today, Bob. So you can go back to your deck chair now, soak up a little bit more sun, and we'll be back in August. Thanks for listening.
This is the Throstle Club with Norman Bartlam and Bob Downing.
Live from the Black Country, online, on your mobile,